Today we've got 10 facts about Chris Redfield even superfans don't know. Stick around because we've got some real doozies. Number 1. He's a US Air Force veteran. This is probably where he got his skills as a marksman that he later won awards for while in Stars. Number 2. His full name is Chris Topher Redfield. Everyone mispronounces his name, so he just started going with it. Number 3. Chris and Claire's real parents were killed in an assassination. The two were adopted by a Belgian man with low-grade narcolepsy and a penchant for buggery. His mother was a 15-year-old love slave with webbed feet. His father would womanize and make outrageous claims like he invented the question mark. Sometimes he would accuse chestnuts of being lazy. The sort of general malaise only the genius possess in the insane lament. They had fairly normal childhoods. During the springs, they would make meat helmets. When they were insolent, they would be placed in burlap bags and beaten with reeds. At the age of 14, a man named Vilma ritualistically shaved Chris's testicles. There really is nothing like a shorn scrotum. It's breathtaking. I suggest you try it. You know, that old chestnut. Number 4. He married Jill Valentine in the spring of '03. It was a beautiful, intimate wedding with just a few people attending. You know, because Chris has dead parents and no family except for Claire. Number 5. He actually loves boulders, and he did not want to punch that poor boulder in Resident Evil 5. He could be heard muttering, "It's not a boulder, it's a rock! It's not a boulder, it's a rock!" over and over, trying to convince himself his actions were okay, because it wasn't a boulder. It was. Number 6. He had a steroid addiction. Duh. It got so bad, Jill threatened to leave him. A rumor went around claiming Chris roid raged so hard he punched Jill in the face, killing her on impact. At that same time, Jill had been mind-controlled by Wesker, so no one had seen her in a long time, giving traction to the rumor. Number 7. He hates sandwiches, because all sandwiches do is nag and tell him to get off the juice, Chris, or I'm gonna leave you. Hey Chris, I know you're trying to save the world right now from bioterrorism, but I need to talk about my feelings. His words, not mine. Number 8. He wanted to divorce the Jill, right before she got kidnapped by Wesker. He still had love for her and he was her partner, not only romantically, so of course he went on a mission to save her, which brought him to Africa. When he laid his eyes on Sheva, that whore, that's her nickname, I'm not making any personal claims, Olimar, he felt a deep connection. And while he wanted Jill to be found alive, he decided that he would go forward with a divorce and pursue a relationship with Sheva after this mission. However, when Chris saw Jill with platinum blonde hair and her big wobbos bouncing in a catsuit, he came to the most logical solution. He converted to the fundamentalist Mormon faith and made them sister wives. Jill was still a little rangy from the old Wesker mind control, so she agreed, and Sheva didn't get that nickname for nothing, so she agreed thinking she could eventually take Chris for herself. Chris wanted Excella to be the third wife, but Excella told him to kick rocks. Not funny, Excella. Just like the greatest polygamous family of our generation, the Browns, sadly Chris's marriages fell apart. Big tits and blonde hair sadly wasn't enough to keep the spark. I would know. Jill was back to her bitchin', and she retained some of her strength from the events of 5, so she would smack him around a little. And when Chris and Sheva would argue, she would call him a boulder-punching asshole, knowing full well how much it hurt him to punch that innocent boulder. She may have also been having an affair with Heisenberg, because how would he know about Chris punching a boulder? She was the only one there. However, in their defense, Chris was using steroids more than ever to contend with Jill's newfound strength, and the loss of his team during the events of Resident Evil 6 caused him to fall into a Great Depression that would cause him to go into rages and drink heavily. The three mutually separated on good terms, accepting they all had a part in the dissolution of the marriages. Or did they? Now, I don't want to start any rumors, but have you seen Jill or Sheva recently? I haven't. The only person who may have had any information on what happened was Piers. And we all know what happened to Piers. Coincidence? I don't know. Number 9. During the events of Resident Evil 6, Chris Redfield sadly passed away at the hands of the Leon Sexy Kennedy. Leon shot Chris in cold blood. He couldn't stand not being the only heartthrob. He thought Ada might fall for the boulder-punching asshole. After all, his middle name is Sexy. It's Leon's brand. He also thought it might win points with Ada if he defended her honor by shooting an innocent. Plus, as a backup plan, Leon thought he might want to boink Claire if Ada kept being a bitch, and he didn't want Chris to roid rage and kill him for boinking his sister. And finally, number 10. If Chris is dead, who's the guy in Resident Evil 7 in Village? Well, after Leon kills Chris, Ada injects Chris with a formula composed of adrenochrome and an unknown chemical, bringing Chris back to life. The advanced adrenochrome caused him to look younger in Game 7. He doesn't remember Leon killing him. By Village, the anti-aging effects had worn off, making Chris look more like himself. It's currently unknown why Ada revived Chris, or if it had any effects other than the brief anti-aging. Unaware of Ada's actions, Leon's first thought is that Chris in 7 is a clone gone wrong, or a person impersonating him. Because that's not Chris. Leon thinks whatever person or organization behind cloning or impersonating Chris got better technology and got rid of the Bizarro Chris, then made a better fake Chris. Well, folks, that's all I have for today. What did you think of those 10 totally real, totally true, totally not made up in my head facts about Chris Redfield? Who's the better protagonist in your opinion, Leon or Chris? And if you haven't already, go ahead and check out our 10 facts about Leon S. Kennedy. You'll certainly learn a thing or two.